Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are talking about the New York Rangers and their quest to Lord Stanley Cup. The path, the obstacles is what we're talking about today. We're talking about the New York Rangers and what challenges, the teams that they're going to have to face on their way to get to the Cup once and for all again. And this team seems primed and ready. Now, this is not a predictions video, right? This is not me predicting. Really, I mean, I guess it's kind of me predicting, but this isn't me saying the New York Rangers are going to win the championship. I'm just going through the playoff teams and saying what their road is going to look like and what challenges, just to know, like, be ready for, to get, like, what it looks like going into the playoffs. If they're going to face these teams, what are their odds? So let's start out with the first round, and I would be very surprised if it isn't their opponent, the New Jersey Devils. Now, I know the Devils are almost in first place, so maybe they can knock out Carolina, but I think Carolina is going to hang on to that first place spot. So the New Jersey Devils. So this season, they are playing, currently their series against each other is not over yet. However, the Devils have won 2 out of 3 of the matchups so far. November 28th, they win 5-3. On December 12th, overtime win, the only one so far for the Rangers, 4-3. And then January 7th, the Devils win 4-3 in overtime as well. So back and forth there with the 4-3 overtime victories. Now, the last time they played each other in the playoffs was in 2012 in the Eastern Conference Finals, where the one year the Rangers made it into the finals and then they lost to the Kings. And then the next time the Devils made it in, but then they lost to the Kings. Remember that? It's kind of crazy that the one lost to the other. But anyways, yeah, so the New Jersey Devils beat them 4-2. So, which I gotta say, in these 3 videos I made so far, very rare for the team that I'm talking about to actually have beaten the other team the opponent team. Like, it's very rare that the team I'm actually videos focused on is actually won, which is a weird trend. I don't really know what that means, but it's just an interesting trend I think I've come across here. But anyways, that doesn't matter. So 2012, the last time they faced each other, completely different teams back then. I don't even know if there's a relating link between any of the rosters still left on the 2 squads. Now that Zajac and Andy Green are gone from the Devils, which has been a little while now, I don't think there's any relation there between the teams in their roster. So it'll be completely fresh faces, but kind of the same story. So let's talk. So offense. Offense-wise, I'm going to give the edge a little bit to the New York Rangers. For one, they just have more top guys. Jack Hughes does have more points for both teams. For all the guys on the teams, he has the most points out of all of them. But the Rangers, they just have higher highs than them. So once you go from Jack Hughes, you go to Heischer, you go to Bratt, you go to Meyer, and those guys, their numbers just don't match guys. Like, sure, Hughes above their guys, but the Rangers, then you got Panarin, Zibanejad, Lafreniere. You got a lot of guys up there that are higher up, and now, of course, Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, especially going into the playoffs. Those guys are going to probably, at least a guy like Patrick Kane's going to go grab that brass ring and try to win one more cup for the final time. So I like the Rangers offense more than the Devils. The one thing I will say is the Devils do have the depth side to them. I do think they are a lot deeper as a team than the New York Rangers. But when it comes to the playoffs, I think the Rangers players, I will say that is one of the biggest things, is depth for forwards for playoff teams. I mean, it shows last year in, like, the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, their guys would step up from the third lines, from, like, Darren Helm coming in to win the playoff series against the St. Louis Blues. So it goes to show you depth is really important. But I do like the Rangers. Their power play, too, is a lot more effective, and their top guys in Kane and Tarasenko added to the already stacked lineup, and guys like Lafreniere could go on a run as well. I kind of like their higher highs. The guys like Kreider could step up and make a couple more goals than I think some of the guys on the Devils, and guys like Meyer hasn't really panned out. So I like the Rangers offense more. For defense, I'm kind of conflicted here, because with defense, I feel like they're kind of similar, but I would give the edge overall mostly to the New Jersey Devils but overall, I like the rosters are pretty even if you kind of look at them. I mean, you can go Hamilton to Fox. I mean, I just feel like it's kind of depends on the Devils. I feel like definitely have a more chance to generate more offense and move the puck out of their zone, but I think the Rangers might be a little bit more defensively concentrated than those guys back there. Maybe, but the Devils, they do have, I don't know. The rosters, I would give the edge to the Devils, but going off the numbers of like goals against, like I can't decide. But the one category that's definitely is decided. I know Vanacek is playing good, but goaltending wise, the edge easily goes to the New York Rangers. Igor Shesterkin. I last season was kind of against him. I mean, I know he's a great goaltender. I never think he was a bad goalie, but he never rubbed me as like, okay, he was great, fantastic goaltender, but I was like, Vasilevsky's obviously better. Guys like Ottinger have kind of wowed me more. But watching him just lately against just the recent game against the Columbus Blue Jackets I was watching, and the couple of saves he made, I'm just like, he is fantastic. And going to the playoffs, last year he definitely didn't wow me in the playoffs. I will say, I never felt that like Igor coming out of him. But between Vanacek and Shesterkin, I definitely think the Rangers do have the at least maybe not a decisive victory, but I definitely think they have the better goaltender going into the playoffs. Maybe Vanacek lights up in the playoffs, I don't know, but just from this before the playoff standpoint, Shesterkin, he has the playoff experience too, and I like their odds more. So Shesterkin for the Devils. So that is who they're most likely going to play up against. And I kind of like the Rangers' odds a little bit more than the Devils going against them. They have that playoff experience. They have the kind of older guys. They have veterans that can show up, young guys that can show up as well. The Devils, just overall, I like the team. I love the Devils. But just overall, I think the Rangers are just going to overpower them. So Rangers get past the Devils in the first round. Next round, most likely, I would say they're playing against the Carolina Hurricanes. The last time they played, of course, was in the second round of the 2022 playoffs just last year, the Rangers winning. So that's the one thing that this is like the only time that I see a team actually winning against each other, winning against the other team that whatever. You know what I was talking about earlier. 2022, Rangers win 4-3, Game 7. It was the whole deal with the Hurricanes that they only win at home, and then the Rangers win at home. And then finally, Game 7, the Rangers beat Carolina at their home. So they finally flipped the script at the final game. So the Rangers getting a win. One of the few times I've actually noticed that the centric team about the video has won a series against the other team. But anyways, that is not what matters. What happened recently? So recently what has happened is this year it is back and forth. Well, really the Rangers are dominating in this whole series. So January, 3-5 win for the Rangers. February, 2-6 win for the Rangers. March, and so just recently, this March, just a week ago, the Penguins, the Carolina Hurricanes win it 3-2, and then just a few days later, on March 23rd, the Rangers come back and win 2-1. So the Rangers really having their way with the Hurricanes this season so far. So 3-1 is the series of their season. Their series is done for the season. So just looking at these two teams, I mean, the numbers there, the wins, that's what matters if you win. The Rangers have got them beat there. Offensively, see, this is where I'm mixed. Because the Hurricanes, they're known for being they're deep, they're they have 40 points guys throughout the lineup, and that is the thing about the Hurricanes. They don't have high highs. I mean, Sebastian Aho, Svechnikov, who's out, which is a bad thing, but guys like Natchez and Aho, they're great, but they're not like Panarin and Zibanejad, But the thing is, they have Natchez, Teravainen, Kotkaniemi can be a star. I don't remember who I've already named. But they've got all these guys throughout the lineup. That all four lines for the Hurricanes are so stacked. They're so deep. And the Rangers, their thing is that they got high highs, but when you get down to the fourth line, there's not a lot to talk about there. So between the two teams, I mean, I like the Rangers have better odds of guys scoring 10 points in the entire series, but the Hurricanes have better odds of having 10 guys score 5 points in the series, The Rangers have you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's I don't know. it's such a mix because they're just so differently built for offense. So the one thing I gotta say like the stars are what the main point for the Rangers, but depth is the thing for the Hurricanes. So it's like, I don't know, like for me personally, I think depth is more important for the playoffs. So I'd kind of leave the Hurricanes, but with guys like Kane and Tarasenko being given a chance to win with the Rangers now, those guys could show up huge. So I don't know, it's a mix there. So I can't really give either team an edge there. Defense, though. Defense, I got to give to Carolina. I mean, that defensive squad, kind of like Colorado, I don't know if there's a better defensive unit back there. Playoffs and regular season is a completely different category. If people were to go off of regular season, Vasilevsky would just be an okay goaltender, when we know he is, in fact, probably the best goaltender of all time, skill-wise, especially in the playoffs. So in the playoffs, the Hurricanes guys like Burns and Shea and now Gosh to spare and I can't remember any of their names now. But all of their whole defensive lineup back there is so stacked and so good. Last year they were good. This year they're even better. And the Hurricanes, I just got to give it to them. And they can generate offense, too. Those guys, it's going to be all offense all the time. And they're just going to get the puck, and they're going to get it out of their zone quickly as possible. And in net, this is where, once again, I don't know. Fred versus Igor. That is the story there between these two teams. I don't know which one would be better. Anderson, and then that's the thing, too, is Anderson, you don't even know if he'll be there. He could get injured again, because I mean, sometimes I know there's a whole joke about someone being, like, just certain jokes about certain players, like Kessel's fat or something, and it's like, yeah, I guess so. But, like, Freddie Anderson, he does always get injured. So, I don't know if he'll make it to the second round, but if he does, Fred versus Igor, it would be truly the tale of which goaltender shows up between the two of them. So, I can't really give an edge to either one, because Anderson is a great goaltender. I feel like people don't give him enough respect for that. And Shesterkin, everyone loves him. So between the two of them, I don't know. This is one of the most even matchups I've seen, because even defensively, I know I chose Carolina, but with the Rangers, I mean, they got Fox and Keandre Miller and Trouba. They got a lot of guys, and even guys like Schneider, too. Like, they have some pretty decent defensemen back there. So this is one of the closest matchups in the entire whiteboard here, I think. Because it really is a conflict of, like, the superstars of the Rangers versus the depth of the Hurricanes. And then the net, they have two solid goaltenders, both teams. So between them, I don't know who I would pick between them. I don't know. But also, you got to throw in the New York Islanders. They're going to be my pick for the first wild card spot. They'll play against the Hurricanes. Between the two of them, 1994 was the last time they played, where the Islanders swept the New York Rangers, I believe, in the conference finals. I don't entirely remember what it was. So that was the last time they played, 94, which is nuts to think that those two teams only played the last time in 1994. It's crazy that it's been that long since those two won. And I believe that was the last year the Canadiens won the Stanley Cup as well. So the Islanders versus the Canadiens. That's a weird matchup as well. Anyways, this season, though, the Islanders actually have had the lead over them. So in October, Islanders win 3-0. In November, the Islanders win 4-3, and then finally the Rangers beat them 5-3 in December. But I mean, still pretty early in the season. But between the two of them, offensively, I know just going off of the games that they played against each other, it looks like the Islanders' offense is better. But I would still definitely give the offense lead to the New York Rangers. Defense, I give it to the Islanders just because of how good they are back there with Dobson, with Pulock and Pollock. Like, they just have so many good guys back there defensively. But then the true story there would be Shesterkin versus Sorokin. That would be the story between those two goaltenders, the two Russian goalies against each other. That would be a true story of who, I think that might be the main story of who kind of can stop the other team from scoring the most. Because by the looks of it, the Islanders have their number when it comes to scoring wise. So which goalie would step up the most would be kind of the story. And well, actually, no, that's not true because the Rangers have better offense. But anyways, most likely I think they're going to play the Hurricanes there. So they get past the Hurricanes, they get to the third round. Now the conference finals here. Obviously, you got to put in the Boston Bruins, right? The Boston Bruins, the last time these two teams played each other against the New York Rangers was in 2013, where the Bees win 4-1. That's the year they went on and lost to the Chicago Blackhawks. And yeah, so that was the last time they played against each other. Recently, though, the Bruins, first time on the board that there's been a clean sweep for a team. The Bruins have had the number of the Rangers every game so far. In November, 5-2 win for the Boston Bruins. January, 3-1, and March just recently, 4-2 against the New York Rangers. So the Bruins, I mean, obviously we know that they're like the best team that's ever been assembled, but just going off of that, they've had their number, like, for sure. Like, it hasn't even been close between these two teams. Like, 2-goal deficits at least in each game. So the Rangers not really getting any offense in either, getting 2-1 and 2 goals in those series. They scored 5 goals in the entire series against them. The Bruins scored that in one game. So the Bruins definitely have the number against the Rangers. And once again, kind of how I've said, the Bruins have the offensive advantage over them. They just have goals for in their advantage. Once again, though, the Rangers do have those stars that could light up in the playoff. Guys like Tarasenko, Kane, Panarin, Zibanejad and Kreider. Lafreniere could pop off. Capo Caco could be a surprise, come out of nowhere type of guy. But overall, the Bruins are just so stacked. I mean, they are just so loaded with players that it's unreal. So offense, you got to give it the edge to the Bruins. Defense, of course, once again, McAvoy, Lindholm, and Orlov. One of those three guys on the ice every time, every shift of every minute of the game is unreal for the Bruins. That they can have one of those guys on the ice against the New York Rangers, that's deadly. However, goaltending-wise, once again, if they make it to the conference finals, my belief would be that Shesterkin, I mean, I know they made it last year, and I don't think Shesterkin was all that amazing, but I do think that if they made it this year, Shesterkin would be popping off. And that's the question. Between Shesterkin and Linus Ullmark, who's my Vezina candidate, I don't know which one of them is actually better. I feel like, once again, everything's kind of in a vacuum. And in that series, I don't know who would actually be the main guy between the two of them. I mean, Ullmark is a great goalie, but I think Shesterkin definitely has the higher ceiling than Ullmark could have in a game. So Shesterkin, I kind of would give the edge to the Rangers, but with Ullmark's season this year, and I think going to the playoffs, how great he would be, and especially how his defense is going to give him a lot less great chances for the Rangers for him to have to stop, that I would have to maybe give the edge to Ullmark, but Shesterkin at the other end, I mean, that kind of, once again, goalies being put in tougher situations shows, like, how good they are. And Shesterkin might look like the better goaltender, but Ullmark might have the better numbers. So, anyways, it's an interesting one there. I can't really make it. It's a good decision. I mean, on paper, going off of paper, you'd look at their numbers, you'd say Ullmark, but Shesterkin, we know Shesterkin's great. And Ullmark is great as well. And like I said, he's my Vezina candidate. I don't even think it's a close race, but it's like the thing with Cale Makar and Erik Karlsson this season, where it's like, yeah, this season Erik Karlsson is the best defenseman in the world, but Cale Makar is like the best defenseman of all time. So the same situation here. Shesterkin's going to be better overall in his career, but Ullmark is better right now. So it's an interesting situation that is like at least a month away before we would find out who would be better there. So I chalk it up to a draw there. So the Bruins most likely are going to play, but if they run into the team that squashed them last year, the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning, last time they played, of course, in the Eastern Conference Finals last season, the Lightning win 4-2, and they go on to lose against the Avalanche. And this season, it has been, right now it's split between the two of them, a 3-1 win for the New York Rangers in October, and then in December, a 2-1 win in a shootout for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got one game left coming up in April 5th, so in like a week or so. So, actually, yeah, I think it is just a week away. Yeah, so, April 5th, we'll have to see between the two of them what the 3 out of 2 wins, which one comes out with the win there. And between the two of them, offensively, this is a tough one, because this is a weird situation where when it comes to depth, I mean, the Lightning have always been so good when it comes to depth, but the Rangers, once again, they're top guys out there, but they got Kucherov, they have Braden Point, they have Steven Stamkos. I got to give the edge to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I have to give the edge to them. They just have too many hard hitters and guys in the playoffs that are proven just the killers. Defensively, I got to give it to the Tampa Bay Lightning again with Sergachev and Chernak and Hedman. The Rangers just don't match them out there. They just don't match their squad. They just truly don't. I mean, they have more guys. Like I said, same situation against like the Hurricanes, where it's like the Rangers have, but the Lightning kind of match them because they do have it. They have Point, Kucherov, and Stamkos. Like, I can't give any of those. Like, I can't knock it off. Like the Lightning, they can match their top guys, and then they go deeper than that. So the Lightning, I give the edge there. Now, of course, the question is, can the Lightning recover from their terrible last few weeks they've been having? That is a whole other question in and of itself. But between the light, just on paper, the rosters, defense and offense, I got to give to the Lightning. Goaltending, I am a Vasilevsky man myself. So I would say Vasilevsky above Shesterkin. Vasilevsky's the best of all time. But it would not be a surprise to me if Shesterkin, this is the year where if they make it to the conference finals, they have to face the Lightning again. That this is the year where Shesterkin's like, I'm going to take your name. I'm taking best goalie in the world from you. And he lights up. But for me personally, I'm a Vasi man. And I'm choosing Vasilevsky. The Lightning on paper, which is nuts to say. I mean, it's so weird that the Lightning gone to the playoffs finals 3 years in a row. We're such a good team for like 7 years in a row now. And somehow they're still painted as like the underdog. But if you look at them on paper, they're still a superstar team. It's so bizarre. But anyways, so to kind of sum up their ride so far. So first round against the Devils, I think the Rangers do have a advantage over the Devils overall. Against the Hurricanes, so they make it past the first round, my eyes, no doubt. Against the Hurricanes, I think the Hurricanes' problems still kind of exist, and the loss of Svechnikov's even worse. And they didn't get to bring in a guy like Timo Meier, and they've lost out a guy, Pat Chiaretti. So I kind of want to give the edge to the Rangers overall. I think they'll upset the Hurricanes again. I don't think the Hurricanes have what it takes to pull it off against the Rangers. The Islanders, I don't think they have a chance against the Rangers. I think the Islanders would put up a good fight. I think they're a strong playoff team, not a regular season team. With the additions of Bo Horvat, being able to play with a guy like Barzal is going to boost their offense, and I think they've always needed. But the Rangers, I think, are going to overwhelm them no matter what and get past them. Maybe 4-3. Like, it's closer than it should be, but the Rangers still going to win. Against the conference finals is where it's going to be a tough battle. Against the Lightning, I think the Lightning are kind of, I don't know if they'll even get here. With their qualms that they're having right now, I don't think the Lightning are even going to make it to this point. And the Boston Bruins, but I can't bet against the Lightning, so I keep them on the board here. The Boston Bruins is so far their hardest challenge, no doubt, and I think it'll be the hardest challenge for any team this season. But they get past them. I think the Bruins have the best chance of beating the Rangers so far, but that's not what we're talking about. The Rangers get past the Bruins, and we get to the Stanley Cup Finals. So who are their potential matchups? First up, we've got the returning Stanley Cup champions, the Colorado Avalanche. So the Avalanche, they've never played against each other in the playoffs by the looks of it. I looked it up. Doesn't seem like it. Does not seem like they played against each other. So the Avalanche this season, it's a split between the two games. In October, the Avs win it 3-2 in a shootout. I believe it was a shootout, right? Yes, a shootout. And the other one's also a shootout. The Rangers win in December 2-1. So both games going straight to the end as far as it possibly can. Both games ending in a shootout this year, which is nuts. So obviously these two teams have, they are not proving anything against each other. They are completely even. They are a synced together team, which makes complete sense. I mean, offensively, I give the edge to Colorado. I mean, I think the one thing that the Rangers their thing is against all these teams, I keep saying, is that they have the stars. They have they have more top guys. But the Colorado Avalanche top guys are even more top guys than the New York Rangers. So I give the edge to Colorado. But overall, just going off of their play against each other this season, it's a hard draw to pick. It is a hard straw to decide which one's going to actually pull out here, because both of them, obviously, in regulation and overtime, they couldn't get any advantage over them. They're completely split and tied when it comes to scoring against each other. So offensively on paper, I'd have to give it to the Avalanche, but it's against each other, just the actual numbers, the actual games, the sample size that we have, they're completely deadlocked against each other. Defensively, Colorado, in my head, is, in my personal opinion, has the best defense, especially for the playoffs. And I wouldn't give. There's no other team I would maybe rival them with Carolina or maybe the Bruins when it comes to defense. But Colorado in the West and against most of the Eastern teams is going to have the advantage in my eyes. They can produce offense. They're just so good defensively. I just got to give the edge defensively to the Avalanche, and I think that has always been the Rangers' kind of the biggest their issue. They didn't do anything about this year, bringing in Tarasenko and Kane. They didn't do anything to kind of solve their defensive problems, and the Avs have them there. Goaltending. Now, this I got to give it to the Rangers, but Georgiev, if they make it to the finals, Alexander Georgiev versus his old team against Shesterkin, the guy that he had to, like, I remember watching when Henrik Lundqvist was at the end of his career, and they had those two guys as backups, and when he was hurt, and then they had those two guys to fill in his shoes. It's kind of crazy to see where they've gone and their numbers now, and like how their paths have gone. That matchup would be nuts to see Georgiev versus his old team versus his former, like, his net mate, because they were kind of sharing the net. Like, they were kind of split on who was going to... I personally thought Georgiev was going to be the better goaltender overall, and Shesterkin's surprised me by being the number one guy. But Georgiev with the Avs against them, that would be big. And between the two of them, I mean, overall on paper, I'd give it to the Rangers. But the Rangers, if they made it to the finals, you'd have to think guys like Lafreniere and Kaapo Kakko would showed up. Panarin and Zibanejad play as great as you know they are. Chris Kreider starts scoring more goals on the power play. So, but overall, the Avalanche, though, their power play as well is deadlier. So, I don't know. I got to give the edge kind of to Colorado, but if they made it to the final, the Rangers made it to the finals, you'd got to think that they're being in pretty good shape. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights, of course, never played against each other in the playoffs. I'm sure all of you know that. And they've only played their 2 games this year already. In December, the Rangers win 5-1. And in January, the Rangers win again 4-1. So the Rangers having complete domination wins against the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas doesn't have a solve for them, and it makes complete sense. Looking at these two squads, offensively, of course, obviously going off the numbers alone, the odds go to the Rangers, and it makes complete sense. I feel like Vegas's game has always been like speed, containment, pass the puck, great teamwork play, and like fighting and grinding to score those goals, and playing good defense as well, right? And the Rangers kind of, like, their thing is kind of like all up front guys, you know? And it makes perfect sense. The Rangers, offensively, I give them the edge because they're just more offensively built. The Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, they're good offensively. I mean, they got Eichel and Stone and Smith and Marchessault and Carlson. Like, they have some heavy hitters out there. But overall, the team doesn't rub me as an offensively gifted team. They're kind of built more as a hard to play against overall team. And I don't really, I mean, they kind of have their own structure. Like, I don't even know if I could, like, resemble them to another team. Like, certain teams I could, like, compare and contrast to. But the Vegas Golden Knights, they kind of have their own unique format. And I just don't, the Rangers, they have that they're more offensively built, and they've obviously overwhelmed the Vegas Golden Knights style of play. So offensively, Rangers obviously get the nod. Vegas gets the defensive nod, but against the Rangers, I guess the Rangers, their format, their style, just their Vegas Golden Knights, they're just not capable of containing the Rangers' style of play, I guess, obviously. But I would give defensively on paper, having Pietrangelo, having Shea Theodore, even guys like White Cloud I like, being out there defensively. But against the Rangers, I've watched all the Vegas series that they play, and when they lose, they kind of, I don't want to say they look like slow or bad, but when another team is just better than the Golden Knights, the Golden Knights just like feel like they don't have an answer for them. And the Rangers this season have just had their number, and I can tell when the Golden Knights are kind of like not in their league, and this seems to be the fact with the Golden Knights. And then goaltending. I know I should give the edge to the Rangers, But if Logan Thompson, who I'm questioning, and Aiden Hill, who I'm questioning too, and Jonathan Quick questioning as well, if the Vegas Golden Knights make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, I gotta think guys like Thompson's showing up, Aiden Hill's showing up. One of their goaltenders are showing up and being solid. So against Shesterkin at this point, if both these teams made it to the finals, obviously Thompson or Hill or Quick showed up and is being a super goalie, and I don't know if I could give an edge. Right now on paper, you'd give it to Shesterkin over Thompson, Hill, or Quick. But by the Stanley Cup Finals, if Vegas gets there, one of their goalies is obviously playing good. So I don't know who I'd give the edge to. So overall, I think just going off of this season alone, I think the Rangers are just sometimes certain styles, they just clash, and sometimes it's like, teams run into a wall, and they have certain teams that they just can't play with, and that's the Rangers to the Golden Knights this year, and I think the Golden Knights would kind of be screwed, and I'm surprised saying that, because before I did any research, I didn't think that at all. I think it was going to be the other way around, but here we are. And then finally the last team, and which is interesting, because the last time both of these teams played each other in the Stanley Cup playoffs was in 2014. I was watching the game live when Alec Martinez sealed the deal, and he made that huge goal, which we all know. We've all seen the clips of him scoring, throwing his gloves in the air. We all know it. Fantastic sight to see. I have it still in my mind, even though I hate the Kings. Well, sort of. I don't hate them anymore, but I was this fan at the time. But anyways, the LA Kings. So the Kings beat them, obviously, as I just said, in the Stanley Cup Finals, winning it in 2014. And this season, though, it has been all Rangers upsetting the team that destroyed them in the first ever outdoor game as well. But anyways, November this year, the Rangers win 5-2, and the same story. 5-3, and then over in February, the Rangers win 5-2. So the Rangers, obviously all offense against the LA Kings. The LA Kings, though, offensively, it's surprising, but I kind of give the edge to the Kings, which I know is like not what most people would say, but with the Kings, if they made it to the finals, if they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Rangers, you got to think guys like Byfield, guys like Lizotte, guys like Turcotte, guys like Kaliev, and guys up front in Arvidsson and Kopitar have obviously showed up and are playing huge games for them, and Fiala. And you got to think, if they make it to the finals, all those guys are buying in. And if they made it to the finals, those guys are buying in, and I'd have to give the Kings the lead. Right now, at this current point, I'd give it to the Rangers, of course. But on paper, if they make it to the finals, you'd have to give it to the Kings. No doubt in my mind, you'd have to go to the Kings side, because if they make it there, those guys are showing up. Defensively, I'd have to give it to the Rangers. That is one thing about the Kings I don't like, even though they actually are pretty good defensively. But the Rangers, they're just better. They're just better defensively. That's just it. Like, just looking at the rosters one for one, you'd have to give it Doughty to Fox, like the Rangers. And I don't think there's one player that I'd have to give the Kings an edge over the Rangers players. And goaltending, New York gets it all the way. I don't believe in Korpisalo. I don't believe in Peterson. I like Phoenix Copley, actually. But with Shesterkin, there's just no match. Igor would easily be. There's no one better on that team. But going off the same thing for offense, though. If the Kings made it there, obviously one at Korpisalo, Peterson, or Copley is playing phenomenal, and maybe they would match Shesterkin when you get to that point. But on paper, as we stand now, you'd have to give it to the Rangers. But thinking about this going in from like a month and a half from now, when the playoffs are on, you'd have to think that the Kings goaltender would have to show up and be pretty strong there. But overall, the Rangers' path is a pretty tough one, as it is for all teams. I know this is a long video, so I'm just taking my time to sum up this one. So, the Rangers' first round, I think they have a good advantage over the New Jersey Devils. My pick would be the Hurricanes. So, against the Hurricanes, I would say the Rangers definitely have, not definitely, definitely would have a very close matchup against the Hurricanes. I think this is the closest matchup they would have, and it showed last year that the Hurricanes couldn't overcome them, but I think this is a better Hurricanes team from last year, so maybe this is the year where they flip the script and then they are the ones to seal the deal there. But I think the Rangers still have it's a pretty even team there, right? Unlike the third round, if they get there, the Bruins, who would be my pick, I think they'd get either team in Tampa Bay or the Bruins, or even the Maple Leafs for that fact. I think they would, well, you know what, not the Maple Leafs. I think they would beat the Maple Leafs, and I'm sure people don't like that, but I definitely think they'd have a better advantage over the Toronto Maple Leafs. But against these two teams on the board I have here for the Bruins and the Lightning, I think so far to the third round, the Rangers would have at least an even chance of winning, but against the Bruins and the Lightning, they'd be the underdog, and I think they'd have to fight a lot harder to get past one of them. And then in the finals, though, I would have to give them an edge over all the teams in the finals. I think if they make it there, kind of like Colorado last year, where if they could get past, like, the Blues, that I think there's, like, sometimes the hardest matchup isn't the finals, okay? So I think it would be kind of the story here where, like, the Rangers' hardest matchup wouldn't be the finals. It would be the third round against Tampa Bay or the Boston Bruins. So, but in the finals, if they make it there, the toughest team they'd have to play is the Avalanche in my eyes. But I think for the most part, they have the Western team's number. So that is all I have to say about the Rangers' road to the Stanley Cup. If you somehow made it all the way to the end of this video, congratulations, you are a warrior. So good job, God, oh, there we go. Stick taps for you. That's what we'll start doing from now on. And thank you for watching this. Please feel free to pick up your free subscription down below. And until next time, I have been your Kenny Omega dressed host, Owen. Too sweet, and ta-ta for now.